everyone. Have you ever asked a question whether it's better to rent right now or buy the property? Are you paying too much in rent and nothing goes into your own pocket? My name is yuriy.nesvit. I'm with eXp Realty, and today I wanted to discuss truly whether it's better to rent or own, especially in today's market when the rent gone up by 15-20% year over year, and the prices on houses declined because of the interest rates, and you cannot afford to house one way or the other, so you still have to rent. So now until the interest rate decrease, you still can't buy, and you have to wait. But that's going to be the same effect when once the interest rate decreases, your property value is going to go up. And unless you know how to time the market, then you can go ahead and wait. But at this point, I think it's a perfect time to buy, because again, the prices are down by 15-20%, and this is perfect timing. The question is, you're renting for a reason, so can you qualify for the mortgage? And the answer probably going to be in 90% of the cases is no. That's why we rent, otherwise we would have bought. So I think there is an alternative to that, and of course it's not going to fit everybody, but rent to own is, you've heard of it over and over and over again, and rent to own might be an answer for you. So what it is in a nutshell, I did have a separate video on that with Alfonso runs a firm that do just that, rent to owns. They have over 150 units under the program, and have it down packed, everything running smoothly. Their success rate is very high. Whoever goes through the program, they eventually get the house. Sometimes it happens that people get into the program but not in a position to buy after 2 years, and that's not a good scenario, because that's going to be wasted time, money, frustration, and everything else. So before you get into the program, you get through pre-qualification process, meaning that you should be in a position to buy a property. So what are the reasons you cannot buy property right now? It's very simple. You can't get the mortgage financing for the following reasons. The credit score is too low, no income, or all of the above. Also could be not enough experience or not enough down payment. But I mean, for the down payment, you only need about 5%, right? So it's not that significant. So in majority of the cases, the biggest obstacles are either income or the credit bureau. So, and under this program, you can get into the ownership. It's kind of quasi ownership, because you don't have a title under your name for the home. Somebody buys it for you, or gets the mortgage in their name, and then it's going to be transferred to you. So with the income, it's slightly different. So lots of people, if they're self-employed or new to the country or something like that, they cannot qualify because they're not claiming enough net income, and that's why they don't qualify. So what we do is we tell them to do the proper income taxes, and claim sufficient net income so they can qualify. Right? Yes, you will have to choose your bad guy.
The bad guy.
And there's two bad guys out there: the banks and the government. So I'd rather you choose your bad guys with the bank versus the government, because you're not paying the government, you not qualify for the mortgage. You're not paying the government. Most likely you're going to get audited at some point, and it's not a fun thing to get audited. Imagine how much time and energy it's going to cost you to go through the audit. And sometimes audit's very easy, sometimes it's complicated. So, and it depending on the auditor as well, right? The money that you pay to the government still goes to the infrastructure, schools, health system, and that kind of stuff. I know it's not probably the best use how the government uses it, but that's different story altogether. So I do choose the bank to be a bad guy, and the other thing, well, if you're not paying the government and you don't qualify, Then you have to pay, if you do want to get into the housing, you have to pay private rates, which could be 9-10% or something like that, which is probably going to be more than you paying in taxes for 2 years. And we can do an example. Let's say you want to buy $500,000 home. For $500,000 home, you need to have approximately, let's say $100,000 income. So $100,000 income, you'll be paying approximately, let's say $30,000 in income taxes. And 30,000 by 2, that's $60,000 of income. For 2 years, that's what you're going to have to pay in taxes, right? If we go back to the bank scenario, instead of 3%, you're paying 10%. That's 7% difference. And 7% difference on, let's say you do have 5%, and on a 500,000, that's 25 grand. So your mortgage is $470,000. So 7,000, 7 by 4. So we're looking at about $30,000 on annual basis. Same thing. So you got to pick your own, pick the bad guy. So over 2 years is going to be $60,000 if you pay. The other option, not to buy anything, but then again, you're losing equity in the home that you could have, and you're spending money. Let's say you're paying $2,500 a month. So that's what you're spending $30,000, and it's kind of out of the window.
Just throw money out the window.
In a later case, you get the equity accumulating in your home, and that could be again, it's 500,000 or 600,000, 10%. That could be 50 to 60 grand, which will offset that interest, right? But in the case of the government, basically you do pay it for 2 years, and then you stop, right? You get into the mortgage, and then you get your 2-3%, and that's it, right? You have less hassle at the renewal. They don't normally they don't ask for the qualification again. They just ask for the property taxes and insurance paid, and that's all you have to do. So let's get back to the rent to own. You choose the property, first of all. You choose the property. Somebody goes on a mortgage on your behalf. You're paying principal and interest. You're paying property taxes, insurance, utilities, as if you were the rightful owner of that property. On top of that, if you do not have the down payment, if you have only 3%, then you would have to pay a little bit extra to accumulate that down payment in 2 and 3 years or something like that. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're buying $500,000 home, you have 3%, which is 15,000. When you buy the home, basically they do want to make money, and some percentage will be tacked on top of the purchase price. So when you're buying it today at $500,000, let's say 2 years from now, that property is going to be a lot more, right? So they want some equity, not equity, but they want some percentage from that property as well, right? As an income. So they will tack on certain percentage. I don't know what it would be. Could be 5%, 3%, 6%. I have no idea. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, they tack on 5%. So instead of $500,000 in 1 year, that's $525. In 2 years, it would be roughly $560 altogether, because it accumulates. So you buy the property in 2 years for $560,000. At that point, you will be required to have a down payment of 5% and another 1.5-2% closing costs. So you're looking at 7% total altogether. Let's say you have $15,000, 3% down payment. So 7% of 560, you're looking at roughly $40,000, right? So you have $15,000. The $25,000 will be broken down over 2 years. So 25,000 divided by 2, that's 12,000 a year, or 1,000 a month that you have to pay towards the down payment. So it might be a hefty payment, with the principal and interest and everything else. But that's how you avoid those things at the beginning. You know you're not going to qualify if you're not in a position to make that $1,000 or save that $1,000 for the future down payment. This is good for everybody, and if you don't qualify, you don't qualify. You know, it's reality. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So that's in a shell how the payment works. After 2 years, you basically get your own mortgage, and the way you go, you pay off the existing mortgage and get your own, or take over that one, whichever works the best for you. What do you achieve by that is, like I said, right now the prices are depressed about 10 to 15 or maybe 20% at some point. In my experience, the recessions do not last long. It could be half a year, could be a year, could be 2 years at the most. We're already half a year into it since the rate change. But like I said, as soon as they start decreasing the rates, the price is going to go up. This may happen within 6 months or a year. I don't think it's going to be more than that. At which point you're going to be making, or your equity is going to go up immediately as soon as the rate's going to go down. Like I said, you can wait and see when the property drops more, and then maybe you can qualify later on. But when you're waiting, I have people that have been waiting for 8 years at this point. I already have several houses, and they're still waiting for the first one to buy. And who's better off? Yes, they have savings. Yes, they save a little bit more money, but they miss out on 10% or 15 or 20% increase. Like we had crazy increases of 25-30% over the last couple of years. We have a vicious circle. The interest rate increases, they artificially decrease the demand, the prices go down for a year or so, and then or 2 years max, and then they decrease the rates, and the property value goes up more than before. And it just, like I said, the vicious circle. The solution would be to build new houses, affordable houses, and so on and so forth. But it has to be done by the government, not by the builders, because builders making it for profit. Government would make a profit over a long period of time, and so on. Right? There's so many different things we can discuss and bring up. Like every situation is different and very, very individual. So, like I said, it's best to address individually. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We can come up with the different scenarios for you, whichever works the best. I mean, I had people come in and say, hey, I want to do rent to own, and I did the numbers, and they go, well, you qualify for the mortgage, and we bought the house right away. So different things. You don't know what you don't know. I don't charge for the consultation. Feel free to reach out, and like I said, we'll sit out and we'll spend half an hour, maybe 2 hours in some cases, and see what we can come up with. It was a pleasure talking about this subject. I love this subject. I'll see you next time.